Just calling Randy right now. He edits manuscripts and books for Christian authors. He also like writes his
Hi,
own
this
stuff.
is Randy.
Hi, Randy. This is Alec.
Hi. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's good talking to you too. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So what are you doing in your life now? That's a big general question, but are you working for a living? Are you ministering for a living?
So I've got like YouTube channel going, and it's all geared to essentially like equip other people who are starting their own ministries and help them be as fruitful and as impactful as possible. But in terms of like work that I do and get paid for, I'm working with my dad right now, helping him out with some real estate stuff. And what about you? So like from what I understand, generally you've written books and helped to edit books.
Yeah. I had a long career as a freelance writer, coming alongside experts in various fields who needed a writer to write their books. So I did about a dozen books with a psychologist, Christian self-help books. So I did a number of those books. I've written about the Bible a lot. So a few books on my own, but mostly collaborating with others. So let's talk about your manuscript here. So what's your purpose in doing this? I know some of that is, I've read it, and so I know you say some of that in the text, but I want to hear you talking about why you wrote this or why you are writing this and who you want to read it and what you want to accomplish through this.
Well, the reason why I wrote it originally just started off as like an exercise that I was trying to go through myself. I was like living up in central New York for about like 6 years, and that was like going to college and in exercise science. But as I got closer to graduating and had gotten more involved in the field of like physical therapy and exercise, I was just realizing like, it's not for me. Kind of stopped pursuing everything that I was trying to go to school for. So like I'd graduated, but I kept feeling called more and more towards ministry in this season where I've been transitioning from like being in central New York to now being in New Jersey, having moved to Philly, and like wanting to take this online ministry and bring it to the next level. I felt like God was really emphasizing like you got to really understand what the vision and mission is for this ministry. And through just like a lot of prayer and like meditation, this imagery of planting a garden is what came to mind as I was kind of getting that imagery in my head. I was like, wow, this is really cool stuff, but like I've never done like a vision mission thing like to this level before. So I started doing research, and not just in research in the Bible, but also like looking to people who have started like businesses and have like ran businesses very well, people who are doctors and run their practices very well, and then people in ministry, people who run successful churches or big impacts in their community. Because it almost feels like there's different worlds where if you're trying to learn how to be a better business person, but you're trying to better yourself spiritually, it's almost like those are two separate things. Like you have to go to one resource in order to get one thing, and then another resource to get another. And it's like trying to combine those. So taking like business practices, things that people in business say works well, and strategies, but then looking at it through the lens of like, well, what does Jesus teach, and like what things does he emphasize, and just kind of provides that framework. But it's not like you have to have the end result of this. At the end of it, each person will come out of it with their own unique vision mission that deeply penetrates their own hearts, so they deeply identify with it. But it's all still rooted in the values that Jesus promotes and the lessons that the Bible teaches. So like in terms of like who I believe would benefit the most from this, both someone who's running a team who wants to better equip their team, but also someone who's starting a ministry and wants to better equip themselves.
I think it's smart to go with both angles on that. That I think there is concern in churches about having the right materials for millennials, and I mean churches are mostly run by older folks who are mystified by millennials like you, and so how are we going to deal with the millennials? And increasingly, we all realize that, well, not everyone realizes, but eventually the church will be millennials, and so millennials will just minister to themselves, and that'll be fine. At this point, I mean, there is concern, and the numbers do show that millennials are less excited about church, less committed to the church, less reading the Bible, and I don't think that means they're less spiritual in their desires and personality, but they may be less organizational in their commitments. And so, anyway, churches are concerned about millennials and want materials that will help millennials. And the millennials that they do have in the church, they want to help them find and get excited about their place of ministry and what they do and how they do it. And so what you're setting out to do here is a valuable thing, I think, and on both counts, that it's something that a person who has these questions, what am I doing, where what's my purpose in life, they can pick it up and interact with your thoughts on that. But also, I mean, you should be thinking about two different products here, because alongside if you will, the user's guide would be the leader's guide. And so how could a leader process this materials for a group? And I think it has a lot of benefit in both ways. The other thing that you should probably think about is the format. I mean, books aren't dead yet, but books are dying, and people are and so especially your target audience of millennials, they're gonna download this. They're gonna have this on their phone. It's not going to be a printed book, most of them, and so that allows you to think in terms of not just a book but a resource. And so, how might you make this an app? How might you make this? I mean, you're doing stuff with YouTube and video and websites and stuff. And so how does this become a web resource that people can tap into? And so it all starts with what you're doing now, processing the information and getting the message clear for them. So that's good. And so it helps to think of it as a book for now, but just have in mind that whenever you come to an issue of, this will never work in a book, don't worry about that, because for most people, it won't be a book. It'll be an app, it'll be online, it'll be some other way that it reaches into their lives. And so that frees you up to do a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I like that idea of the app things. I didn't think about, because like I was thinking like like for now it's a book, but it was mainly just in order to compile everything and have it in one place. But I would like to branch out to create like an online course type of thing, or even like weekend workshop type of situation. Because I feel like with the workshop thing, you got people who'd be able to talk with each other, ask questions amongst one another, have different like, oh well, how did you interpret that one thing? And then it's like, oh, I didn't even think about it like that. And then it's like, there would be much more depth.
Yeah. So think in terms of a suite of materials, and actually the book can be part of that. And actually, if the gatekeeper for you is a church Christian education director or something, then a book may be the best way to get their attention. But once you get to the end user of the millennial group member, they'll probably never look at the printed book. They'll have some other resource. It will be in some other format that they'll be interacting with. And the thing is, that's not a burden for you to translate it into something else. That frees you up for the capability of an app. It is much more interactive. It is much more personalizable, and so there are all sorts of things you can do with an app or a web program or whatever that you cannot do with a book. And so So let your mind run wild with some of that.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to join the crew of current Christian supporters, you can do so by hitting that subscribe button. It will really help us out a lot. And if you want to watch more of our videos, you can do so by clicking any of those videos on the side right there. Yep, just click any of those options that you want.